Just writing some bonus notes.
Oh, some bonus notes.
Bony
Love
noni,
that.
bony nonies, as I like to call them.
Bony nonies. That's my favorite kind of noni.
Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! It's like watching, yeah!
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. It's not raining outside, so we can be loud, loud, loud.
Loud, loud noises. We'll do it.
So this is the show that a couple of guys hang out. Those couple of guys are Dan and Tony, and they talk about a movie. This week, Tony picked a movie.
Yeah.
Which was a movie.
More or less, it was a movie. Did you look up at how it did? I didn't look that up. I imagine it didn't do very well. Did it do very well?
It lost $113 million.
I mean, that sounds like a lot. Is it a lot? What was the budget? Like 300 probably? That'd be my guess.
I didn't see what the budget was. I think it made 34 opening weekend and then went on to make like 68 and then like 158 sort of international. So it was, like two maybe 2.25. And yeah. So
this came out in this is Dark Phoenix, X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Which apparently colon X-Men Dark Phoenix.
In case you didn't know after the trailer that these were the X-Men, they wanted to put that in so people didn't show up thinking they're going to see something different.
2019, this came out in an hour and 56 minutes.
When did Endgame come out? Was that 2019 as well?
I don't know. No,
I'm going to look that up. You think it was
earlier? Avengers,
Yeah.
The final Avengers one, I bet you that came out in 2018, beating
Avengers
the pandemic.
Endgame, 2019.
Oh, okay, 2019. Well,
I wonder what the dates were. Because, listen, this movie's bad. Oh, because Infinity War came out in 2018, and then Endgame was 2019.
They came out a year apart? That's it?
That's what it says right here on the Googles. Has to be true.
Yeah,
if it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
Except all the lies.
I mean, just releasing a superhero movie like this in the same year as Endgame feels like a bad choice.
Yeah.
Just in general. Here's my point. This is also the finale, the grand finale of the X-Men reboot new timeline that started with First Class. And this doesn't, I mean, I don't think it was meant to be the finale. Did you look that up?
They were like, nah, then after this, we could make some more movies with the younger characters. And God, what was the other thing they said? There was like some other bad idea that they had to keep this going if anyone cared.
And then they didn't.
No, they
didn't care. So they just kind of ended it. But I will say the final scene, which we'll talk about later, does kind of bookend the series. So I found it a little weird that it wasn't initially the end. I don't know.
Actually, you make a good point. I was going to say there was nothing about this movie I liked. But that last little ending scene bookending the whole thing, actually not bad. It was like, okay, this sort of...
like the final 30 seconds, which is independent of the other 90 minutes or whatever of this movie, does kind of relate to the other films. It's a very weird, maybe that was a reshoot, let's be honest. Maybe that was a reshoot after someone saw the movie like, we should just wrap the whole series up right now in 20 seconds.
That felt like an exclamation point that was probably not in the original script. That they probably were like, well, we could have a thing where, the Beast, like, calls somebody on the telephone and is like, something bad's happening, let's do something new.
Who you gonna call? We'll talk about it more at the end. But the whole movie didn't feel like a culmination of the things before it. And then it didn't feel like it was wrapping up any characters until the last 1 minute of that movie. And it's like, oh, here's a bow. Put it on there. Let's get out.
Well, I mean, just to spoil it, the last scene is Professor Xavier and Magneto getting together and playing a game of chess and maybe not being friends, but but having a
But
being
kinda,
being
yeah.
at an equilibrium, as opposed to if I see you, I'm going to try and kill you or put you in jail. And so you're like, oh, that is a good place for those two characters. This movie, not
Yeah.
exactly about the. I mean, they want this
No.
movie maybe to be about those two characters, but this movie,
I don't know. It's weird.
this movie not about any characters, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, so here's the problem, right? In a nutshell, my
Wow.
biggest problem is that this needs to be a Jean Grey movie,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's not.
No.
It's not about a Jean Grey movie in any way that matters. She's not even. I would argue she's probably not even on screen the most, which is fine.
Yeah,
It's
probably.
fine if we are following her emotional journey, but she doesn't make any decisions throughout the movie, really.
No.
The original decision, I mean, we'll talk about him. She makes no decisions that have any repercussions in this movie until the last scene. It is bizarre. She has no agency as the main character. She's not even in control of the Phoenix. The Phoenix saga is about her being corrupted by this power. That's what it's about. This movie is about a power that comes in. She's like, I don't know what the hell's going on with me. That's her whole storyline. Yeah. I don't know what's happening to me. That's not a story or a movie or a character.
Well, it can't be a movie. First, it can't be a movie.
Yeah,
because there's too much. There's too big. The arc is too big. The eight 1 hour episodes is the minimum you could do.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it should be a miniseries. I'm on board with that. In fact, I would almost prefer, a 2-part miniseries where it's 8 episodes of the Phoenix and then 8 of Dark Phoenix. Like, we need that whole buildup where she has a good relationship with the Phoenix. And by the way, people, if you're not fans of the X-Men, I apologize for all this comic talk. We'll get over it and we'll talk about the movie soon. But I want the buildup where you get where she's like, oh, I can use this power for good, and then she slowly becomes corrupted by it. I mean, that's what a story is, right? We have to see the good to also to get the bad, And this movie is just kind of like, it's kind of bad. She doesn't really know what she's doing.
Yeah. So I did a little research. I went to the closet, pulled out my comic books. My first X-Men comic I read was X-Men 96 or 97, I think. I think it was 97.
Wow.
Right? So I read 97, 98, 99. I didn't find 100 until, years later. Then 101, which is where Phoenix
is introduced, right?
Is introduced. She becomes the Phoenix, which is what sort of happens in here. And then it's another, what is it? 136 is where she gets killed. 138.
It was years.
Years. It was years of the character. And looking at it, I didn't do that much research on what Claremont's thoughts on Phoenix were, but I think he changed Jean into Phoenix because he didn't want to be calling her Marvel Girl. I don't think he wanted to call her that, and I don't think he had anything else to call her. And so I think he made her into Phoenix so that she'd have a great name. I really think that was a case of what happened.
Good for him. Sometimes good things happen just on silly choices.
Yeah, so that's the whole sort of thing. Phoenix was an evolved thing. It did not start in one place, but it ended in a very particular place.
Yeah.
The other thing I did was I sat down and I was like, I hated First Class when it came out. I was like, I will watch the beginning.
Interesting.
I will watch the beginning of First Class and see what I think. The first scene in First Class is, young Charles Xavier as a small boy comes into the kitchen and there's his mom and he realizes it's not his mom, and his mom then turns into Mystique as a small girl child.
Yeah.
And then he's like, eat all the pastries you want. I'm Charles Xavier. And you're like, what the fuck is this? I hate this. And then the second scene is the Nazis have Magneto, and they're all like, what's his name? Kevin Bacon's Sebastian Shaw, which is horrible. And he's all like, move the German ruble, and he won't do it. So I'm going to shoot your mom. He then shoots the mom, kills her, and then Charles gets angry. Not Charles, Magneto gets angry, and he kills the two Nazis. He makes everything do a big dance. And does nothing to Shaw.
Sure.
The guy that just shot his mom does nothing to him, and then Shaw's like, oh, isn't this fun? Now I'm going to control you. And you're just like, what the fuck is this? Maybe there was some explanation later in that stupid movie as to why he didn't just kill Shaw. Maybe
I
Shaw has
don't
like
remember.
super mind powers, even though Shaw just takes in energy and spits it back out at you. That's all he can do.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so I'm like, this is why I hated this, is because these movies they're dumb. They're really dumb.
And here's my, I don't know if it's a counterpoint, but I will say I mean I haven't seen, I don't think I've ever seen any of them more than once, I'll be
Sure.
honest.
Sure.
But I have seen all of them once now. This was the final piece of my puzzle. I do remember enjoying First Class, but
Okay.
what I remember, the things you're saying, I don't even remember, if I'm
Sure.
being honest. What I do remember is Fassbender and McAvoy having wonderful,
Interplay.
acting battles on screen. And that's what I enjoyed about these is they hired an incredible cast for the most part. This movie doesn't care at all about any of that. Doesn't give anybody anything good to do. But that's when I was watching, I was like, I maybe I should rewatch them because I feel like in the earlier in the movies, and Apocalypse was bad too, but I feel like there used to be a lot of like scene chewing and like letting these guys really act it out. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was all glorified in my mind. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I guess it's is it in first? No, it's not in First Class where they have to go and get they have to rescue Magneto from the plastic prison. That's what you call it. That's Apocalypse, isn't it? I don't know which one that is. No, it's Days of Future Past. It's Days of Future Past.
Yes, Days of Future Past, which
because
was fun.
That's when Wolverine
convoluted.
goes into the past. That one,
yeah.
And I mean, the truth of the matter is once you don't have Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in the center of these movies, nobody else can. Magneto can always be on the outside doing things. Professor X can be on the outside doing things, but they can't be the primary characters. You need Wolverine as a human being or mutant at the center.
What's funny about that is I feel like when they introduced Wolverine in the comics, because he wasn't an original, the same thing happened. Is that everyone's just like, well, this is the guy we kind of want to follow. I feel like he became like a central character, even though I don't think he was ever meant to be. It's just that's just who we want to see.
Yes,
we like him.
Well, he's a motivating character. He's not a straight up leader. He's not a follower, and so he's always going to be pushing the action in some sort of direction. And you and I talked a little bit about it when we do the Hellfire Club. It's Wolverine against the world in that one episode, in that one issue.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Everyone remembers reading that episode, that issue. Yep. Everyone remembers the story. Everyone remembers that Wolverine is a fucking badass and he's going to get stuff done. And, every kid that read that was affected by that. And, nobody wants to see Cyclops. We like Storm, but...
Hold on. I like Cyclops, not this Cyclops. Right? No offense to what's his name, Ty Sheridan. No offense, guy. This isn't. I don't blame you for me not liking you in this movie. But like I am one of. I will go to the mattresses. I'll go to the mattresses defending James Marsden in the original trilogy.
Yeah, but you wanted Wolverine to be with Jean. You didn't want him to be with Jean.
The triangle's very important to me.
Yeah. It meant something with Wolverine there. You felt like there was a tension going on there, and Cyclops is this milk toasty kind of guy who's very vanilla-y, and that you feel that you're like that, right?
He's Leonardo of the Ninja Turtles as well.
Oh yeah, just like Leonardo of the Ninja Turtles. Okay. Sophie Turner hasn't ever worked as Jean Grey or Phoenix.
No.
She's a child. She's a child.
Is she? I don't even know if she is, to be honest with you. I just listen. I'm not a fan. I don't know. I don't hate her or anything. I just like when she's on screen, I'm never enthralled. I'm never really invested. Like the one thing I will say, we'll talk about the old one a lot. I think Last Stand. I feel like I'm going to bring that up a couple times. But the one thing I will say is when Famke Is that her name? Jansen? Famke? Famke?
And
When she's on screen, you're listening. She's got a presence, you know? And I didn't feel that.
well, that's because that first X-Men movie, everyone in it was, in all those movies, they were adults. They weren't children.
That's true. Yeah, that's
and
true.
and when you put Jennifer Lawrence in the Mystique makeup, she looks like she's 9 years old.
Man, I got all sorts of problems with Raven, quote unquote. Why is she the leader of the team, Dan?
It's terrible.
Who made these decisions? I understand that it was probably a contractual thing with her, and she was like, "Nah, if I'm going to be in your movies, I'm going to be the lead." I don't know if that's true. Maybe I'm spreading rumors, but I have no idea why she is leading the X-Men. And then in this first scene, like giving directions, she's the leader. She's like blue team leader. I don't think so. Okay, get her out of here. But that's just me. Maybe I just don't like the timeline.
And it's just the character is just like it's. Cyclops and Storm have always been the two leaders that,
yes,
Cyclops
correct.
was the leader and then Storm took over as the leader because Cyclops was sick of being the leader. And they're the two characters.
He quits at the end. Doesn't he quit the X-Men at the end of the Phoenix Saga? Like, I'm pretty sure. I haven't read it in a while.
Yeah, of course.
But I think he quits.
Yeah, he packs up his duffel bag and leaves, I think, in 138. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's, the problem with everything you got to always remember is you got to go back to the core books. The core books tell you, they show you what you need to know because they got, those were books that got it right.
That's why we want to see the adaptations, because they got it right and we love the story and we want to just see it bigger and better.
Yep. Okay, Dark Phoenix, we start with the...
Wait, one last thing, Dan.
Yeah, sure.
Did you know that this is the same guy that wrote Last Stand?
The writer?
So the guy who wrote and directed this movie was also one of the two writers of X-Men Last Stand. And this was his redemption story. He's like, I don't like how Last Stand turned out, so I'm doing it again better. That was his motivation.
I mean, Last Stand, not good. But
not
like this, not even close.
100%. And Last Stand had, I think, different problems. Part of it, I was doing a little reading, and what's his name? What is this guy's name? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
Matthew
Simon Kinberg was the guy who wrote the two movies.
Simon.
What he said in interviews is that in Last Stand, Fox was afraid to let a female character lead the film. So they forced them to bring in an A storyline about the cure and make her the B storyline. And he's like, so it ruined my whole movie. So I'd like to try it again. So that's where we're at.
Your problem is the cure stuff was actually pretty good stuff in that movie.
It was actually pretty interesting. And I almost would rather have just that movie than the amalgamation of both of those movies. But it's fine. It's fine.
And that movie had, what's her name? As Kitty Pryde, who's great.
Yes.
Elliot Page.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite she's one of my favorite X-Men characters. And
Kitty Pryde's great. Yeah.
One of the greatest portrayals of an X-Men because she just got it right. She killed it. So who knows? So we're starting out 1975, car ride, Jean's in the back. She freaks out and causes the car to crash.
And Dan, I know this movie's PG-13, and we like to make things dark.
Yeah.
Why is this crash so graphic? What is the point of that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Didn't bother
I hate
me.
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
a lot of things don't bother me. Car crashes freak me out. And I get so annoyed when we go inside the car and we watch people rattle around for no reason, hitting things, blood coming. Like, there's no reason to show me. That doesn't make it more interesting or dramatic. I'm just like, what's the point? I don't need to see this. This is dumb.
Yeah. And
that's just me.
And it sets up this whole dynamic of what we're going to find out is Professor X then sort of took her away from her family because the dad lived. She didn't know the dad lived. He
Right.
takes her away from the family because the family wants to get rid of her.
Yeah, the dad says, I'm not taking care of her.
Yeah, and so he puts blocks in her brain so that she doesn't remember this childhood trauma.
Which, if you remember, is almost the same storyline from The Last Stand, except for Charles in that movie has put blocks in Jean's mind, blocking the Phoenix Force, which has always been with her. So
Or at least she picked up the Phoenix Force in episode.
So in both of those, in both movies, the catalyst is Charles manipulating her mind for some reason. This Simon guy is real. He's real big on that for some reason.
Well, I think they did that in the comics at one point. They sort of said,
but not for the Phoenix, and it's important because it makes the bad guy Charles.
Yes.
It takes away the agency from Jean Grey of her trying to wrestle with, I've done bad things but I am a good person. That's like the crux of the thing, is her being like, I'm doing bad things. I don't want to do bad things. I am a good person. How can I get back to being good? This is just like, well, he did mean things to me. So I'm moody and I'm upset. And now I can't control my power because I'm all moody and upset.
Yeah, and I think probably with the comic books and whatever, it's sort of treated like an addiction kind of thing, where it's, this sort of power, the addiction to power, and that spirals out of control.
They do good things, they're doing good things, but then like the power is just like, oh, I need more and more. Like I can do incredible things, and then she blows up a planet. Spoiler alert: she kills, I think, billions of people or millions, or whatever it is, of this race, and then she's like, oh shit.
She kills 4 billion people.
4 billion people.
Of the race of the people that are in this movie who are the alien antagonists.
Well, that makes sense because they say the Phoenix destroyed their planet. Yeah. And that's why they are chasing it, which to me makes them the good guys, by the way, not the bad guys. Yeah, I mean, their planet was wiped out by this force. Yeah, they want to stop the force.
But in I'm on board. This movie, they want to take the Force and then do it to Earth so that they can live.
They want to change it into their plan. I don't really understand, to be honest with you.
One thing that all Marvel superhero movies have gotten wrong, in my opinion, are alien races. The Skrulls, they've done horribly. In the Avengers movie, the guys that ride the metal worms, that was horrible. Yeah. And then these characters are they're the worst aliens of all, because it's whatever.
I don't even understand who or what they are, to be honest with you.
No one, because they have indeterminate powers for unknowable reasons, and they're here to take her power in a way that we don't understand and that doesn't make any sense.
Well, you just touch her. From my understanding is you just touch her and you take her power. I don't know. Seems like a pretty elusive power.
So this movie takes place in 1992. The space shuttle goes up into space. It's having problems. The president calls the X-Men, and then
they have an X phone. Did you see that? The phone on the president's desk has an X on it. It's like the bat phone from like the 50s, the red phone. I was so confused. He's got a direct line to the president, Dan. It's incredible. I love it.
So they take the Blackbird and shoot out into space, which in the comics, what happens is they go out into space and then they have to steal a shuttle to get back.
Yeah. Yes. Now, there's a weird setup here where Beast and Professor X are talking, and Beast is like, well, it can't get up there. And then Professor X is like, yes, it can. And then they go up there and it's fine. Yeah. What is the conversation? I don't know. What is happening? Why did we have a whole setup about, well, I'm not sure that the plane can make it up there. And then it does.
Well, because what should have happened is, there should have been a problem with this is exactly what should happen.
But don't tell me what should have happened.
Well, they're setting up a thing that they didn't put in their movie, which is that Jean has to hold the ship together while they go through the atmosphere. That's your whole setup. And once you throw that in the trash, you're like, why have you thrown that in the trash? You've eliminated the stakes that you've set up for yourself.
That is correct. Yeah, it's so weird. The scene doesn't make any sense. It's bizarre.
And then the whole world is excited because the X-Men are going to save the shuttle. What?
I don't know. But I mean, again, they have a direct line to the president, so they're having a good time. I don't know. Maybe I missed something in X-Men Apocalypse. You know,
maybe we've forgotten that the X-Men are like these do-gooder heroes that everybody like has faith in.
Everybody loves.
Everyone's carrying action figures of them around.
Yeah, we don't. There's no more of like the general thesis of X-Men, which is like the bigotry. But we're just like, yeah, we're all good with them.
It's literally the thesis of X-Men is that they exist in a bigoted world, and the world is out to get them. Once you sort of make that disappear for time. Parts of your movie, it's just like I don't understand. This is not X-Men to me.
I don't know what universe I'm in.
So they go up. Oh, and then they have the other greatest part of the movie in here. Professor X goes into Cerebro, puts on Cerebro, and then he's like talking directly to Mission Control, like Cerebro's like a big radio headset.
Yeah. Well, it amplifies his AM radio in the back there. Ham radio. That's what I meant to say. Damn it.
Ham radio. So they take the Blackbird. Scott's like, it's okay, Jean. I'm your boyfriend. I'm sitting behind you. You're okay.
But there's also the weird scene before they take off where Jean and Mystique are talking, and Mystique's like, let's go to space. And Jean's like, hey, is this really okay? If you tell me it's okay, I'll go. Why is this scene in here? Why is she being so subordinate? This is your main character. She needs to have agency. She should be like, yes, let's get on the plane. Let's go save some lives. She's nothing. She's just a blob right now.
Let me tell you something, Tony. She remains a blob the whole movie.
I know.
So they get up there, and there's the space cloud from Green Lantern coming in, eating everything.
You remember Green Lantern?
Green Lantern was great.
Wait, hold on.
No,
you're talking about the Ryan Reynolds movie?
It was terrible because they get it. That's the movie that they get like the main characters, what he has to go through the most wrong of any movie ever.
Yeah.
Because his thing is like, I'm meek. And you're like, wait, no, he's overconfident.
No, Hal Jordan is not. He's a cocky SOB.
Yes, and you've hired Ryan Reynolds and you're playing him as his issue is, I'm too meek. Like, what?
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's the cloud from Green Lantern coming at them.
Yep.
Scott Lake shoots out the windshield and stops the shuttle from spinning around. Then Mystique yells at everyone.
Now,
and then
Dan, I have a question. And this is just for my own.
Yeah.
Is he shooting a laser gun on the plane, or is he putting his concussive blast in some sort of thing that allows him to shoot his blast into space?
Yes. The second one.
The optic blast? That's really what's happening? He's got his own compartment underneath the plane where he could just attach his eyes and shoot his optic blast out? I was hoping it's just weird.
That is exactly what happens, Tony.
Okay.
It gets worse. Mystique yells at them. They got to go save the astronauts. Kurt can, I think he can teleport an infinite amount of distance at this point. Like at some point, he like transports them like from one side of New York to the other side of. I mean, maybe I missed something, but I always remember Kurt could it's kind of line of sight.
It is line of sight. What happens is Professor Xavier gets in his mind for that but the big one, and is like, "I'll show you where we need to go." So they're like, it's like a weird telepathic line of sight. I'm not saying it works. I'm just saying that was what the line they used in them.
Yeah. So basically, Kirk can, if he does that, he can go to any place on the planet or any place.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Literally any. It seems like any place that he can close his eyes and see, he can go because I don't know, Dan.
As with everything in this movie, it gets worse.
Yeah, sure.
So they do it, and they forget one person on the shuttle. They get everybody else off, and then they're like, we have to do it. And then, of course, Professor X is like, no, Jean has to do it. And you're just like, wait, what?
Because they're making him the bad guy. I'm telling you, they are
No, I
setting him
know.
up to be the bad guy. This needs to be Gene's choice. Gene
Mhm.
has to be the one that's like, I can do it. Let me do it. And Scott's like, no, Gene, don't do it. It's too dangerous. She's like, I can do it because I'm my own woman. But they don't
No.
do that. They don't let
Professor
her make
X,
her own decisions.
you
Yeah.
go do this, you dumb stupid. And so
Yep.
she goes and saves the guy, and then she gets
Sort of.
Phoenix all over her face. Phoenix. And she eats all the Phoenix energy, and now she's Phoenix.
Num num num.
It was pretty.
Gobbled it up.
It was. If they'd have been shooting back into the atmosphere and she was having to use it to save them, you might have been like, "Oh, something's happening." Yeah. Nah, we skip all that. Yeah, they just
I wouldn't worry about it. Oh, now Dan, why don't they need spacesuits?
Kurt had one at one point, and they used
right,
duct,
but
they
Jean
used
didn't.
duct tape because she can hold out the space
while also holding the ship together.
Keep out the space.
I'm sorry.
The space is encroaching on her. She holds the space away.
She pushes the space while pulling the ship and then eating up the Phoenix Force. Got it. Dumb. I don't like it.
So they get home and they land at an Air Force base, like in front of everyone.
Yeah, just not at the mansion where the plane is stored. They're just at an airfield.
And there's like people know they're coming there and are there to cheer them on, and children are there holding their Mystique action figures.
People love it.
Tony, I got a question for you. What is Mystique's only power?
I think turning into other things.
Turning into other people, looking different.
Yeah.
You think that a person that has that ability wants the world out there knowing what she really looks
like? I mean, that's great. That's a wonderful question, Dan. But let me respond to it in a personal way. I had a bobblehead made of me one time for one of the characters I did, and I want that bobblehead so badly. So she might. I don't have a copy of it. They never gave me one. So this is a plea to the law office fairy people to send me a bobblehead, man.
And if you like our show, give us a thumbs up or subscribe. Yes.
Yeah.
They get home to the mansion. All the kids there are cheering. Jean's like, I feel fine. Mystique yells at Professor X. And now we get the big central conflict, which is Professor X is just doing everything because he's got a big fat ego and he likes the president calling him and he wants to be the big man.
What?
This has never been an attribute of Professor X in any comic. I mean, I don't know what they did in issue 497. Who knows? But this is not your primary character plot.
And again, I don't totally remember everything that's happened in the past couple movies, but I don't remember him being an egomaniac. I just don't. I just don't recall. His whole thing is that humans and mutants live together in harmony, and Magneto is, we're better than humans. That's it. Those are the characters. Don't make this guy all of a sudden like circle jerking with power. I don't understand what's happening.
Whenever Professor X goes on TV to debate somebody or do something, he does it as a human being. He never goes as a mutant. He's always hiding out. He knows the dangers. This is not a guy that wants the limelight. This is the guy that only does what his absolute minimum whatever to get things going.
But I guess the problem is when you look as good as James McAvoy does, you're going to get an ego. Cast someone uglier. It'll fix the problems.
Raven, Mystique yells at him some more. He's like, women are always saving the man. This should be the ex-women. This is the dumbest woke line that I've ever heard in my entire life.
It is, but I would argue that it's made worse because of who it's coming from, which is a character that should not even be in the mansion. She should not be on the team. She is only there for that very reason, which is like, oh, we should put a woman in charge and let's just pick a random woman who's not even on the team. Give Storm her lead. Like, I'm cool with that. And if that line was coming from the person who just saved the world, I'm also cool with it. Guess what? Mystique didn't do shit in space because she doesn't have any real powers. It just blows my mind.
Well, and it's kind of the problem is Mystique entered into the X-Men as the leader of the Brotherhood of Evil, right? That's where she started.
Yes. Yeah.
So she's got Blob, she's got Pyro, she's got the Earthquake dude, she's got Destiny.
Yep.
So she's using all those people, and there it is. She's like the mastermind. She's like a big smart brain controlling a bunch of evil people. And and even with the beginning X-Men, when they made her subordinate to Magneto,
yes,
that was always sort of a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Because she's not a follower.
She should have existed as a third pillar, where you have Magneto and you have her and you have Charles. There's these three adult people that control control their own situations, and that's the other thing about Magneto. Magneto, for the most part, in the Byrne sort of time period, he was a loner. He didn't spend time with everybody else. He was not the leader of the Brotherhood of Evil.
Yeah.
So another thing that doesn't work.
It's all weird. It's all weird.
Beast analyzes the Phoenix Force and's like, "You're off the charts." Then she goes and makes out with Cyclops, which we're like, okay.
Okay, all right, do whatever you want to do.
Then 3 alien ships show up, and then these are Jessica Chastain and the rest of the Dabari, who are like the bad guys ish.
What a weird scene at this dinner party.
Whatever.
So let's set this. Hold on, no, I just want to mention it just quickly. We're at a dinner party, and I'm assuming Jessica Chastain's husband is on the other end of the table. They're like on the 2 points of the table. And this guy's just a piece of shit. Just like a real douchebag. And this dog is barking. And Chastain's like, "Oh, is something wrong with the dog?" And he's like, "Leave it. It's probably squirrels. This guy's dog's losing its mind." And he's like, "It's squirrels. Don't go look at it." What is, like, why is he being a dick? Just have him be like, "Oh, yeah, will you go check on him?" That's all you have to do. Why are you making him like this weird monster guy? It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. And then they go there and kill all of them and take all their looks because their
bodies, I don't know.
Shape changing. They can be shot, but some can't be shot, but some can fly and some can.
My question is, Dan, now, is there just a bundle of bodies somewhere? Are they Mystiquing it where they're just taking the shape? Or are they taking over their bodies?
No, they take the shape. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there's just a huddle of bodies somewhere. I
think they killed all those people and probably left them.
Right, but like, where are their bodies? That's 12 people at a dinner party that are dead. There's no mention of it anywhere?
This there are no consequences. They're just things happening.
Sure.
So the X-Kids are all having a dance party in the forest. We have Dazzler out there, which was so embarrassing. Oh, so sad and embarrassing.
Not as sad as embarrassing as it was then when we cut inside. And Beast and Mystique are talking, and Beast is like, "Remember when we used to throw those parties?" They both look like they're still 17 or 18 years old. They're both very young people. Honestly, Nicholas Holt's got to be in his 20s, right? Like, he's not an old guy. No. So what a weird line to be like nostalgic about. It's just so bizarre. Everything is wrong. Everything's weird and wrong, and I don't like it.
Professor X gets a medal. They have a medal ceremony in front of like press and things as another thing to show my ego. Give me my medals.
Right, just soaking it up. I don't understand this Professor X.
Jean gets a headache and then she blows everybody up.
Yeah, I liked the effect of the trees. I don't know if you remember that, but the trees kind of like bend, and it was nice.
There it is. Charles goes in. She's unconscious. Charles goes into her mind, and she's like, "Get out of my head!" And she zaps Charles, and now she's in control. She's busted down all those things inside there. Charles can no longer control her, and she realizes her dad is alive. So she leaves.
Now, what I'm a little... Listen, doesn't really matter. But if she broke down those walls and saw the memories of the dad, wouldn't she see the part where he's like, "I don't want her. She's a piece of shit"? I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
You mean he'd have seen she'd have seen Professor X's compassion about her situation, and that her dad would
That's
have
what,
pictured.
yeah, like, yes,
Yeah,
did he make a mistake? Yes. He went about it the wrong way? Yes. But, like, it wasn't because he's evil, right? Like, and she could be mad. Like, I'm not saying she can't be mad. I would be mad if someone messed with my mind. But it's weird that they then use that later to calm her down. Like later, he's like, look deeper into my mind. And then she just sees the 8 seconds after the original 8 seconds where her dad's like, I don't want you. And then he's like, well, I'll take her. She's not broken. I love her, you know? Like, and then she's like, oh, Charles, what's happening? Not that I don't know, man. This is dumb.
so she goes home, sees her dad there. His dad's a total dick. Then the blackbird shows up, and then they come out there, and then she's all like, "You used me!" And then the cops show up, and she like throws the cop cars aside, and then there's the battle
Yeah.
of the cul-de-sac. Um, and it's just the battle's just terrible. It's
It's
just
not
terrible.
good. It's not good at all. Also, like the dialogue's really weird. And then again, it's super forced because Charles is like, wait, everybody, stop. I want Raven to have a chance at talking to Jean because Raven has no powers and you know she's just a good talker. Why would you stop the bat? Dude, I don't understand any of this other than they're like, well, we need to make Jennifer Lawrence very important until we kill her. She has to be the most important person ever.
So she walks up there and she's like, Gene, you know me, you can trust me, girl power, I'll protect you. And then Gene's like, I'm kind of angry, die. And she just flies across the street and is impaled to death. And everybody sort of stands there like, oh,
just
shit.
kind of watching it. Yep, and be like, whoa, I guess that didn't work out. Professor X, bad plan.
And then we just cut away. They don't do anything else. We don't see Jean leave. We don't see. There's no more conversation, and then they've just like left.
Yeah, everyone just pieces out. Well, because once someone dies, then you got to scatter. You got to get out of there.
I mean,
the rule.
Shouldn't you have had Jean like fly off into the air? Shouldn't you have just shown us that, given us like leaving?
You know she's leaving. She's upset, Dan. All right, she's leaving.
So they fly home. And like Beast is Mystique's boyfriend?
I guess. I feel
feels so weird.
I feel like I do remember them bonding over being blue.
They have no chemistry.
I think no. I mean, no, that's correct. Also, their characters don't really make sense together because she doesn't have to be blue. You know, she can be whatever she wants, but also he can be whatever he wants, which was some sort of cure thing that he made early. This was messy. It's messy and weird, and I'm glad she's dead. Not that, you know, I want her to die or anything, but like she shouldn't be in the movie in the first place.
They have her funeral. All the kids are, did Jean kill her? Did Jean do this? Oh, we're conflicted. They don't deal with the trauma of the children at all.
Not only do they not deal with that or the implication that Jean killed her, because then in the very next scene, Beast is like, nah, this is your fault, Charles. It's all you, buddy. You did this. Jean had nothing to do with it. She's out of control. So why are we taking away the agency from our main character? It's so weird to me.
Because it's a girl. You can't have a girl have agency or be a main character, Tony.
I guess you're right. Because this movie worked out, so you must be right.
Jean's crying in a rainy alley. Boo hoo 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 hoo.
Can't she just like make a shelter for herself? She's got all sorts of powers. Just take some trees, put them over you, Jean. You don't have to cry in the gutter. It's not a thing.
She could just telekinesis the rain away. No rain.
That's a good point. She could just sit in a bubble.
No rain need ever touch her again.
That's so dumb.
The aliens go and kill the dad and then steal the dad's brain so they know everything, I suppose.
I mean, I guess. I didn't know that that's what they did, but it's cool.
Now, Tony, talk about Jean going to Mutant Island to hang out with Magneto.
So she just shows up to a hippie commune, and there's just some people working the land as they do. And then they're like, hey, what are you doing here? Because apparently it's not inclusive, even though that's the point of this place is like it's a place to harbor mutants, but they're like, nah, mutant, get out of here. And then Mags has to come over and be like, no, it's cool, guys. It's cool. We're welcoming to people. It's cool. And then they have a great conversation where she's like, hey, you kill people. And he's like, yeah, I totally kill people. What's up? Are you killing people? This is fucking weird, man. I don't understand anything that's happening. I don't like it.
So she wants him to explain to her how to kill people or why she should
how to
kill
stop.
People?
It was like, how do I not want to kill people? Because apparently his whole thing is now he doesn't kill people. Even though he was killing people and now he's not. And his response was like, well, I just didn't think it was a good idea anymore. So I stopped doing it. And which is a great response. So then she should be like, oh, okay, movie over. I got it. I just decide not to kill people. It's fine. I don't understand what's happening, Dan. This is bizarre.
So what else happens, Tony? Who shows up next?
So this is my favorite part of the movie, by the way. So
wow.
The army, hold on, let me explain to you why. So army, maybe something. 2 choppers come with some dudes with guns. And Magneto's like, whoa, guys, you can't come onto my land or something. And they're like, we're not after you. And then he's like, oh, cool. Then you can come onto my land uninvited. I don't know how I feel about that. But the best part of the movie, Dan, is Jean comes out and she's like all phoenixed up now, right? She's been juicing in the back, shooting up some roids. And then her decision, she has infinite power. She can do anything. She decides to spin a propeller made out of metal in front of Mags. The only thing that he could stop her from doing is manipulating the metal, and that's what she decides to do. She can evaporate people with her mind, Dan. But she's like, instead, I'm going to let you stop me from doing this. That doesn't make any sense. Why would she ever do that?
They fight over a helicopter. Magneto's like this. I'm doing
magnetism.
Listen, magnetism.
I've thought about how I would do telekinesis and that sort of thing. It's going to look dumb no matter what you do. But both of them standing next to each other, just kind of doing these things, it does look pretty silly. I'm not going to lie.
Any of the other mutants could have just thrown a rocket Jean and knocked her out, or he
could have just taken all of their houses, Dan, are containers. They're all made out of metal. Just hit her with a house, bro. I don't understand. Just knock her out.
So Magneto wins, and all the guys can then get on one of the choppers.
Yeah, one chopper.
And then Jean's like, yeah, go.
Yep. Yeah, she's like, well, that was fun. I'm going to take off now because this scene's over and I need to exit.
We cut to the news. The news is, and so then Jean like, does she leave? No, I don't think she's left yet. I think she's still there.
Is she?
I don't know.
I don't know.
The government on the TV's like, we're going to start setting up. Well, first of all, how did the government even know she was there? And
that's a great question.
Why do they care? Why do they care about her? They don't know.
Well, she killed a couple of cops, remember?
Oh,
that's what he says. So the guy's like, well, she killed police officers. They had families too. Like that.
So whenever a cop gets killed, we mobilize the entire military. Okay.
Well, if a mutant does it, because apparently while we were giving them awards and stuff, we didn't actually like or trust them. It's a weird dichotomy. It's a very thin rope connecting us, and it just snapped.
So the government's like, we're going to start doing mutant internment probably. Everyone's like, oh? Then
probably. That's probably what we're going to do.
Professor X tries to call the president. He ghosts him. And then Jessica Chastain, Queen of the Aliens, finds Jean in a bar.
Hold on, though, Dan, because it's funnier than you're saying it, because he's telepathic. And he calls the president on the phone, and the guy's like, we're not going to answer this phone anymore, Charles, and hangs up. And then Charles is like, well, I guess I have no way to reach him. I guess I'll never talk to the president again, even though I could just close my eyes and think, and I could talk to him. It's very strange.
the alien finds Jean in a bar, and then she's all like, "Oh, you're super powerful, but you always get abandoned. Everybody's mean to poor little Jean."
Yep, which is inaccurate to be clear, but that's fine.
So then the Beast goes to see Magneto, and he's like, "She didn't tell you who she killed because she had blood on her." He's like, "No, she killed Mystique." And then Magneto's like, "Oh, I'm so mad. I'm gonna go get my helmet."
Yeah. Why is he so mad? Like, I know that they
Well,
had like a
because
connection
yeah,
earlier,
they're like
but
best
like,
friends.
sure, but Mags killed people all the time. I don't know. It felt a little weird.
Yeah, but
Felt a
no,
little
but that's
disingenuous that now he's like, yeah, all right, fuck it. I'm going to go kill her.
well, no. I mean, I think she has the sort of same relationship that Charles has with her, right?
I
Doesn't
don't know.
she?
Charles
Oh,
doesn't seem to care that much that she's dead.
that's true.
So I'm not really sure, Dan.
He's worried about medals and doesn't give a shit
they have
about
that
her.
one scene with Beast and he's like a little sad and he's like, oh, this is where I met Raven. Anyhow, we should talk about other things.
So they take Jean to this big weird house and they show her a holograph, and then they talk about how the Phoenix Force makes the universe, and then you can control it, and you're going to evolve to the greatest force in the galaxy, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada.
At which point, maybe she should be like, oh, wow, cool. I'm super powerful. But instead, she's like, I'm not interested in that. So even setting up the chance for her of like embracing it and therefore creating an internal struggle, they were like, nah.
We better not see how she's. She don't
yeah,
know.
Yeah,
We don't want to know how she's dealing with this.
Great.
We're not even. We're gonna ignore morals completely with this.
Yeah, no feelings, nothing like that. Let's just do stories here.
Then we get this nice Hank and Magneto fireside chat, and they both talk about loving Raven.
But in different ways, right? To be clear,
Maybe.
I just want to make sure. Okay. See, I wasn't sure. I was like, wait, are they both in love with her? I'm confused.
Okay, so they're like, we know something's going on, and so Storm and Cyclops and Professor X need to go to New York City, and so Kurt just blinks them there.
Yep. Yeah.
I wrote speech for Magneto.
Speech. Does he give a speech?
Oh, okay.
He's good at speechifying.
So Jean's in this one house, and they're all in the park, and then they have to cross like a road. This is their big impediment: is this road of like three cars wide road,
just like the chicken. Yeah,
so, like a road, and they're X-Men, but they have to go across a road. The road is the big impediment.
But why? That's the question.
So Magneto brings I whip your hair back and forth guy, and he brings Knife Lady that also has some sort of psychic powers.
It's pretty unclear. I don't know who she is, so I'm not. I don't know. I'm sure she's somebody.
I don't think they ever gave her a name. They never talked about her, but she's from Last Stand. She's like all those Last Stand, all the tattooed weirdos. These guys are the sort of the tattooed weirdo cadre that were left over from that movie.
Great. Perfect.
So everybody tries to get across the road.
Yeah. Okay, great. It's exciting.
And everybody starts fighting, and then Magneto, to stop everything, instead of using the bus that's right there on the street, reaches down into the underground and pulls out a subway car and jams that in the front entrance of the base for some reason.
Correct. Yeah. So now here's the thing, Tan, is that a subway is connected, right? So all that anyone has to do is just get into the subway, and then they can walk all the way through to the door.
Oh, you mean through the car? It doesn't
actually... through the cars, and then they're in the building. Like, it's actually not that hard to do, I don't think. Right? He almost made it easy. He turned one door for the house into like three doors.
Like
so it's just a little bit harder. Yeah, it's a tunnel. It's a little harder to get in. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Why didn't he just use the bus that's on the street?
I don't know, Dan. I can't tell you these.
Objects are basically the same size. One of them's right here. The other one, he's like, how does Magneto just know where all the metal is? Just he closes his eyes. It's like, I can see it.
I bet he can feel. I bet it's, it tingles. You know what I mean? He's like, ooh, metal. Oh, hello.
So if you lost a ring at the beach, he'd just be like, it's right there.
Oh yeah, he could feel it.
Oh,
He'd have to like, get down, touch the ground maybe.
but he couldn't because it'd probably be gold, and he can't affect gold because gold's not
Well, not my ring. My
electromagnetic.
ring would be like a
Rubber.
plastic of some sort.
Yeah,
Rubber. Dang it. That's the word. Galvanized rubber.
you need Plastic Man to.
Plastic. I sense plastic.
Okay, so let's see. So he gets the train, then she goes in there, and Jean's
Mhm.
like, "You cast me out. Now you came to kill me." And it's like, "Yeah, Jean, you killed his like her
Best friend,
daughter,
lover, daughter, maybe. Yeah. Some
You're,
sort of relation. You killed her.
I mean, should she be surprised?
No, I mean, he should be mad at you. Like you did something. Own up to what you did, you little snake. She never does. She never has that moment where she's like, oh, I messed up. And so I need to do better. Like she plays the victim the whole time. I don't like it.
It's dumb. Professor X, they breaks Magneto's helmet, and Professor X rolls in there some.
What is she? So I'm confused, Dan. She's squeezing the helmet, and slowly crunching his head, and then instead she like pulls it off then in the last second.
Breaks it into 4 pieces.
Why doesn't she just blow up his head? I would have popped his head. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and the helmet protects him from being mind influenced. Doesn't protect him from telekinesis.
Yeah. No, at all.
And she's not trying to read his mind or mind.
Nope.
She's not trying to do any of those.
She doesn't care. She doesn't need to get in there. She's fine. I don't know.
Professor X gets in there, and then he's all like, what does he say? He says, "This isn't Eugene," and then she like makes him walk up the stairs with her telekinesis, which is really kind of handicap shaming.
Yeah, like it's just really rude. just like the most rude thing you could do. It does not make her the hero at all.
Then he's all like, "Look in my mind and you'll see that I was the good guy and I'm not the person that you think I am, that this whole movie is telling you
weird.
I am." And then she looks in there and she's all like, "Oh." And then the military show up and then they have magic weapons that they just go, just capture everyone.
Capture everybody.
Without losing a man.
What's messed up though is that they collar them by the neck and then they just drag them by that collar. That's really messed up, man.
It's pretty funny.
Maybe put cuffs on them and then drag them off that way. But no, they're dragging them by the neck.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
They put them on a train because we had that one thing where they were like on a, wasn't Magneto and Mystique on like a train or on a truck or something that they had to get him off of that one time?
Yeah, with Wolverine, that's when he does the claws and he spreads them out. Oh, it's a good scene. And then he blows them out the back of the train. Yeah. It's cool.
So we're doing that train again. We got that train back. We have that.
People love trains, man.
We have the animation file in the archive, so we're just like, oh, we got to
pump it through. Pump it through, guys.
Built. We don't need to build it again. And they're on there. My favorite, actually, I take it back. So this is the other thing I liked in the movie. This is the second thing. There's Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler's in this movie. I know. Okay, wait.
If you didn't remember, Kurt's here.
Nightcrawler, my favorite X-Men when I was a kid. Thank you very much.
Oh, he's cool. He's cool. Not my favorite, but he's cool.
He's terrible in this. He's shackled there, and then there's like a little bonus shackle for his tail.
Yeah, isn't that adorable?
And that was the other thing I was going to complain about in the scene where they have to cross the street. Everyone's yelling at Kurt. Kurt, come pick me up and carry me 2 feet this way. Kurt, what are you doing? Come over here. You got to transport me around. Yeah. Kurt. Like,
it's a street, guys.
Professor X does not go into the field because you do not have. Yeah. Kurt does not have time to carry you around every place you need to go.
Especially if you don't have Colossus to carry him around,
Yes, you should have. That's why Colossus should be in the movie. That's all he does. Carry Professor X.
Put him on his shoulder.
Professor X is like, I'm not the villain. Oh, I am. Professor X admits he's been vain, and he's like, I'm the villain. I was wrong. But this is not Jean. We can save her.
Yeah. Like, why is he getting the arc of admitting that he's been this is what she is supposed to go through, is that she does these things and then she has to be like, oh man, I've been bad, I better stop this and kill myself to stop it. That's her story.
She's not a man.
I mean, I guess not.
She's
otherwise she'd have a great movie.
If only men are allowed arcs in the X-Men world.
And so this stems back to one of the things I want to talk about for Last Stand as well. Is it's the same thing in Last Stand for how her story is resolved. Do you remember how it ends?
Not a chance.
Wolverine kills her.
Yeah.
She doesn't even get to have that self-sacrificial moment where she becomes a martyr. They take that out of her hands and give it to the emotional thread of the movie, which is Wolverine, which is pretty messed up.
So he has to kill. So he kills her even though he loves her because he knows he has to end the thing.
Which is interesting, but it's not Jean's story. That's Wolverine's story.
Yes.
So it's messed up. And they do the same thing here, and it's worse, but like worse. Because Charles doesn't even have a real story. You know what I mean? So they're just like, we can't give it to her because she sucks, but we'll just throw it on other people for no reason.
Well, Wolverine was
just messy.
Wolverine was a man, right?
Oh, he's a man, all right. He is a beautiful one at that. Have you seen images of him and Ryan on set of Deadpool 3 in the costumes?
Just like maybe a one or two like shots from on high.
They've given him the yellow and costume from, oh my God.
It's gonna look good.
I am going to be living the dream. I'll tell you that.
That's the one thing you're gonna, no matter what on the Deadpool, they know how to do the costumes. It's gonna be
because they do the costumes. The X-Men never do the costumes. They're like, we'll kind of hint at it, but we're gonna do something a little more, normal and boring and stupid. And Deadpool's like, this is what they look like. Why wouldn't we just make them look like this?
Well, and they also make them look real. They feel
100%.
like they're wearing costumes. So then everybody fights, and it's just phenomenally dumb.
I mean, there's not a ton to say. It's not a great fight scene. It's messy. Kurt kills a bunch of people, which is
with his tail.
Weird.
Kills a guy through his neck with his tail.
Yeah, it's weird. Why is everybody going dark? I don't understand it.
This is Kurt, who had an issue where he fantasized about being a pirate, being a SWAT. This is Kurt is the playful character, right? He looks creepy, but he's playful and fun. He would be teleporting people off of the train. That is all he would ever do.
Because that's all you have to do is just, they can't run back to the train. Just put them somewhere different, come back. Nope, he's just killing a bunch of people. Just murdering folk.
Then they wake up Jean. Jean blows up the train. Then she blows up the aliens. But then they still kill her.
Well, she kills herself.
Does she?
Right?
I don't know.
Well, that's how it ends, is she flies up into the sky.
Oh, yeah. She flies up into space and blows up.
But what's interesting is in that final scene, where everyone's around, the bad guys keep running at her and she just disintegrates them.
She does.
But then they just keep running at her. If I was an alien and I watched my brethren disintegrate, I would try to come up with a different plan.
No, you wouldn't.
You know what I mean?
No,
I wouldn't just run straight at her.
Yes, that's the plan. That's the most plan. Effective plan. If it doesn't work 12 times, maybe the 13th time it's going to happen.
Doing it, man. Try it again. Yeah, it's really weird. But then, after all that, the Jessica Chastain just comes up behind her and grabs her and starts stealing her power. So I guess it did work eventually. Someone was able to run up and grab her.
There it is.
So I guess I'm the idiot.
So she flies into space and blows up, and then they changed the name of the school to the Jean Grey Memorial School, which was the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen.
I mean, it's weird, doesn't make sense. So here's my problem, is that even in her sacrifice, she's barely doing anything.
Barely.
You know what I mean? And there's not a in the comics. One thing I do remember, I think I'm remembering this right. I hope
Yeah.
because now I just said I remember it. So if I'm remembering it wrong, someone call me out, call me a moron. But I'm pretty sure that when she decides to kill herself, Scott is there to try to stop her, and she like freezes him. And there's this wonderful moment where she's like, "This isn't your choice. This is my. Give her the choice, you guys. Make her do something."
Mhm.
But in this, like, she's everything's spinning around, and the whole thing is like, "Oh, you're gonna kill everybody," and she's like, "Well, I guess I'll just fly into space then." Nobody cares about that. Like, have an emotional moment with Scott, your boyfriend, at least, where he's like, "Gene, don't do this, don't do this," and then she blows him back and flies into space and blows up. I don't know. Just make it a moment. Do something. It's so boring. It's so dumb. Ugh. I don't like this movie, Dan.
This movie, so they renamed the school. Professor X goes and plays chess with Magneto, and
Yeah.
Hank looks at it, has a pic. Hank's in charge of the school now, and he's got a picture of Mystique on his
Hold
desk.
on, though. But that picture that he has, the only picture he has of Mystique is quite clearly her school photo from picture day, because she's just like standing there all posed in her costume in front of the school. Like, they hired a photographer. That's the only, he has no personal pictures of him and Raven, his girlfriend who he loved. He just has her school photo, her 9x10. It was my biggest laugh of the movie. I really liked it a lot.
What size was that photo?
8x10. Damn it!
9x10 photo.
9x10.
9x10. What are you doing, Tony?
We make it almost square, but not quite.
So I don't think I felt any. I didn't feel anything for any of the characters, even for a second in this entire movie.
No, of course not. Which is tough because you have a couple of really good actors in this movie. Jessica Chastain, also a great actor.
They made her play a robot.
She had, the whole thing was, don't show emotion. Please don't do anything. Do less. Just say the lines and leave. So weird.
The set Tony dreams of being on. Do nothing. Tony's like covered.
Don't act. Thank God, finally, I can just say lines monotonously and just leave. But so to touch on the ending a little bit, just the last 30 seconds where Professor X is retired and he's probably going to go live with Magneto on his farm and they're going to be best friends forever. It feels weird and tacked on because that does kind of wrap up the first movie's arc of them being like enemies to lovers to enemies. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's just so out of place in this movie. It's so weird to me. This was fun, huh?
Yeah,
we had a good time.
It's a good one. It's a good one to watch.
It's not a good movie.
After Beau is Afraid, I'll take it's Beau is Afraid, much better movie, but
of course, because it's at least a movie, right? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's beautiful and well acted and interesting.
I watched another video about it, some of it, and this was the guy who finally sort of pointed everything out,
Okay.
And basically, the Beau is Afraid, this is a Beau is Afraid appendix. Everything was done by his mom. So everybody in the whole movie was working for the mom. Like, even the people when they go to his apartment, they're all working for his mom. Everybody's working for his mom. And
so you're saying all of that really happened?
Yeah.
It's not embellished in his head. Like, these are things that really happened because his mom was messing with him. Okay.
Mom was messing with him. She owned everything. She controlled everything.
That's true.
The microwave is made by her. The food was made by her. She's watching everything. She's got the videotape. It is heightened because he fast forwards his own existence on the thing, so that there's no world that exists in, and so then the stupid play is like, what if he really lived a life as opposed to living in a controlled existence? And then at the end, it's the final trial, and it's like he's already failed the trial because the psychologist sitting in there doesn't write guilt on the page; he writes guilty. So he's already guilty, and the whole thing is just him proving that he's guilty, and every belief that she had is being proved true. Blah 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 blah. So basically, nothing. So basically, at the beginning, basically it's a controlled experiment, and it's controlled, and and who cares? And the only way you're really going to understand it is to freeze frame on that one page that shows all the people that work for her to understand everybody that works for her.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm
And
not going to do that.
That's what movies should be about, Tony.
That's what movies should be about.
They should be a carefully constructed thought experiment that makes you feel nothing, and it thinks that it's a comedy, but it's done like a horror movie, so you don't really ever laugh.
Movies should all be different, you know, so it's fine. You can have that one movie. I will never watch it again, but
we're going to be watching that every year as our first.
That'll be our year, our Happy New Year celebration. Beau is Afraid. Yikes.
We're going to keep watching it until you finally enjoy it, Tony.
Until I love that movie. That's how that works.
Anything else you want to say about X-Men / Dark Phoenix, the saga of Dark Phoenix, Untold Story of Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey doing her thing?
Yes. I will say I want to close it with Claremont's closing words.
Oh, okay.
One of the last thing the Watcher says in that series is, quote, Jean Grey could have lived to become a god, but it was more important to her that she die a human. That is not what this movie is about, but that's a beautiful sentence. That is a wonderful phrase, and that's exactly what it should be about, but it's not.
And the issue with a lot of things is back then Chris was dealing with his editor, and then Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief, and I think Chris was trying to get around killing her, and then Jim was like, she went and killed a planet, Chris. She's got to die. And that's just an interesting thing about how really good collaborative works can occur.
Sure.
Where
I will say this, though, Dan. Oh, sorry. No, finish. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That was really rude.
Yes, it was.
I'm sorry.
It's, Chris might have gone in a less good direction, a direction that didn't work as well. But Shooter, smartly from a more outside view, not that Shooter gets everything right or got everything right back then. Shooter got lots of things wrong. The Beyonder. Give me a break. But it really made for something that means something that I read as a kid. You read as, I don't know if you read it as a kid or as a young adult.
Probably like a teen. Yeah, it would have been a teen.
It meant same things that these stuff meant to me means to you. That means they got it right.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't remember what I was going to say, but it wasn't as good as that, so I'm glad you finished.
For sure.
That's for sure.
Now we talk about things we liked this week. I watched some stuff. Watched the new Chappelle. I liked it. He's doing his weird Chappelle things as always, and
I believe it.
Courting controversy, but damn, that guy can deliver a joke.
I mean, he's doing it on purpose, right? Like he's right.
He's aggrieved, right, and he continues to be aggrieved, and he as long as people continue to come at him, he's going to come back at them in each of these specials ad infinitum. And that's what's going to happen with him.
It's a real weird, interesting scenario that's happening. I don't know. I'm not along for the ride. I'm not watching him, but as an outside perspective, it's just like, this is something.
Comedians have very thin skin at times, and they lash out. And that's the way they lash out. But he does a whole bit in there about the Chris Rock attack and then him getting attacked 3 months later. And it's just perfection. There are some jokes and just the way he weaves things together.
Sure.
Ooh, he's a singular comedian.
Yeah, can't argue that.
What do you got for us, Tony?
Well, it's not right, but it's the only thing I had time to watch this week, really. So we finally got through Rebel Moon.
Oh, wow. You must have loved that. It must have been maybe your favorite movie of the year. Probably this year. Probably be your favorite movie this year for sure. Did you like anything about it?
Some things, right?
Wow.
Like, it looks okay, right?
Like the scene where what's her name, ninja lady or samurai lady fights the
The
spider.
spider.
There's like one
Yeah.
scene where they're like walking through a thing, and I'm just like, oh my god, that is the most green screen,
That's not
fake
real.
ass thing that I've
You're
ever
not-
seen.
you're
in
not-
my
you're not
entire
there.
life.
Yeah, but some of the spaceships look pretty good. I do. I won't spoil any of deaths that happen in this movie, but I will say the only character I was interested in was killed. So
Oh, okay.
I can't tell you. We can talk about it when we're done, Dan. But there was only one character I felt in the movie. Everyone else is like not 3-dimensional at all. And I just think, what are we doing? What are we doing, Zach? Like, where are your people? It has to be about people, right?
No.
I don't know. I mean, no, obviously not. I'm still gonna watch the rest.
Sure, I'll
right?
watch
Because
it.
it's just 2 parts, right?
Yeah.
Is there more than 2 parts?
Yeah,
I
2
can't
parts.
remember. But like, it's a letdown after the Zack Snyder cut Justice League, because that cut of the movie is very character heavy and emotionally driven.
Sure.
And so you think, I don't know about you, I was like, oh, he gets it. He understands why the Whedon one failed and why his is better. It's because it's emotionally driven about these characters and not just about the action and jokes. Like, so he's going to make a movie that's about the characters, and he didn't. And
Well,
so I'm just a little bummed.
That's what I'm going to say about it.
Okay, yeah.
He's getting better at characters than he did when he did Sucker Punch.
Listen,
he's moving up a little bit.
Let's take the lowest bar possible and see if someone can hurdle it.
It's interesting. There are movies on this show that I don't think we should ever do. We can't do Cats because it's not about anything.
I still think we're going to do Cats at some point.
We're going to do Cats. We should not do Cats because it's nonsensical. The whole thing is just like
I think it'll be fun.
It's like a nonsense rhyme. It's not about anything.
But I think we would have fun. And to me, that's important, Dan.
No, I know.
Not some sort of smart, dissection of a movie. Sometimes I just want to have a good time. All right? We'll see.
And it's the same thing with Sucker Punch. There's nothing there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to watch Sucker Punch. So that's the difference there. I do want to watch Cats. I gotta see the nonsense.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the movie we're doing next week.
Yeah, what are we doing?
This was what I was going to do instead of Bo Was Afraid, and you're going to be very angry at me because you're going to say, why didn't we do this instead of Bo Was Afraid?
We should have just
this
done
is a movie
that
I
to
want to
begin
watch.
with.
I hate you even more. That's why it's great, because it's a perfect setup. It got you really good, and then I said, we could have done this other one, but then you're all like, oh, and now you're going to hear the other one, and you're going to like, I hate you, Jacob, so because I had to wait 2 weeks to do this one.
You wasted 4 hours of my life, and you made me wait.
2018. Remember it? You remember 2018?
Not really.
Do you remember your favorite movie person, Shane Black?
Of course, I still like Shane Black. Don't talk to me like Shane Black isn't great.
Well, what was the movie that Shane Black
made? So that's got to be,
2000?
it's Predators, right? Or whatever his Predator movie was. All right.
Shane Black's Predator movie.
I am not excited for this, Dan.
I'm very excited for it.
I am very concerned. But I do love Shane Black.
Yeah, well,
and I'll defend him next week. But maybe not the movie.
We're gonna put that to the test. What did Shane Black do? What other movies did he do?
What did Shane Black do?
That was the question. Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to reiterate.
Kiss, Bang, Bang.
Okay.
You son of a bitch. Have you seen Kiss, Bang, Bang?
I don't think so.
First of all, you should probably see it. It's a great movie.
Maybe.
What do you mean, mate? Val Kilmer and RDJ? It's great, Dan.
Oh, I know.
It's really
I'm pretty
great.
sure I have not seen that then. Okay.
Really? Okay. Well, you should see that. That's your homework. The Nice Guys is probably the last decent movie he made. Do you remember that? With Gosling and that dude that can't talk. What's his name? Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. I haven't seen that one.
What have you seen? I mean, so if we're going back to why I like Shane Black, it would be Lethal Weapon. He did Lethal Weapon.
I like the first one. Yeah,
it's a phenomenal film. And then I still like, obviously, I would argue 2 and 3 are fun. They're just not good movie. Like the first one is a good movie.
It's a really good movie.
It's a perfect film. 2 and 3 are like, let's have some fun together.
Yeah.
Let's have a good time. And that's okay with me. I'm into that. He also, I think he wrote the script for Monster Squad. So like he's done all sorts of great things.
So he's made one good movie. Got it.
No. If we go back to his not here, let me read you. Let me find him on here. If we go back, The Last Boy Scout.
Oh,
That's a good one.
that's
Yeah, he wrote Monster Squad. Last Action Hero. You probably don't like that, but that's a great movie.
I
love that movie. The Long Kiss Goodnight. I mean, this guy, the 90s were great to him. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And then a lot of people didn't like Iron Man 3. I was fine with it. I'd like to just fine, but he wrote Iron Man 3.
Which one was 3?
That's the one that takes place, just like all of his movies, it takes place at Christmas, but isn't really about Christmas. He gets her a big teddy bear, and I think 3 is the one. Isn't 3 the one with Benjamin Kingsley?
Oh, that one was okay. That was
Let me just make sure I'm doing it right.
They turned Pepper into the fire elemental. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben Kingsley. Yeah.
Ben Kingsley
so that was
great in that.
I mean,
he was great in Shang-Chi.
Unreal.
He was unreal in
Yeah,
Shang-Chi. Oh my God, he was unreal. Yeah.
So
okay,
good.
that one didn't bother me that much.
Yeah. And I don't know what Edge is, but he wrote a movie called Edge, and then he did Nice Guys, and then The Predator.
Okay, it's terrible.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm the only one going in unseen. Okay.
It's one of 2 movies that made me want to do this show with you. That and Ad Astra were 2 movies that I watched, and I was so angry about them that I wanted somebody to complain about too. And this is one of those movies.
Excited.
So I already have complaints queued up from 3 years ago when I watched this movie.
Oh, good. What a treat. I'm coming in fresh. I might rewatch a couple of Shane Black classics just to get in the mood.
Yeah, you should. See how far he's fallen.
Well, listen, I can't defend it yet because I haven't seen the movie. We'll see. We'll see.
So we'll be back next week with a Shane Blackathon. And if you like this show, give us a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. These are all things you could do. And we're going to be back next week. Yappering.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, watch him!